recording. Okay, so yeah, we are going to use this session to as an example of how to update the documentation site that is all centralized in the repository. So we want to update specifically the showcases section, right?
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so I'm going to, what we can do is clone the repository. Because do we want to also upload images or only text in the change we want to suggest in the documentation?
I think it would be great to keep adding images, so all of
Okay,
the showcases can be seen in a more visual way as well.
okay. So we want to show how to suggest a change in the documentation, including images.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So to do that, um, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share my screen.
The thing is that we are following like a specific template
Mhm.
for images. So I guess users can suggest new sites, but I guess we are in charge of creating the images.
Yes, if they need to have a specific format, yes. Well, anyway, I'm going to show how
Yeah.
to update the docs and how to upload an image.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, that image can be updated in the pull request. That's the good
Mm-hmm.
thing about the pull request, because
Okay.
once the pull request is created, um, we can add more suggestions over those changes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go to, I'm going to start from scratch. So
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I go here, I copy this, and I clone the repository. There are two ways of cloning the repository, using the SSH or using the HTTPS.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually the, I'm going to use this one. This is actually the easiest one,
Mm-hmm.
because the SSH requires that you add SSH credentials in your machine, and
Mm-hmm.
it's well, here you have some references, but it's a bit more complicated. This is the easiest one. The annoying thing about this method is that every time you submit changes to the remote repository, it will ask you for the credentials. It will ask you for your password.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be more productive, this is the way to go. But if you want to do just if you want to use this only several times, I think this is the easiest way.
Mm-hmm.
So I clone the repository by using the HTTPS
Mm-hmm.
URL, and here let's follow these instructions here. Well, yeah. Actually, the suggested method is that we create a fork. So if we come here and we create a fork by clicking here, mm, yeah, first step is creating a fork. So we are going to create a fork. I have already a fork here. So I come here and this is the result of clicking that button.
Mm-hmm.
Second step, we are going to clone the fork. So instead of cloning directly the Gitbook docs,
Mm-hmm.
we are going to clone our fork. It's just like it's like our copy of the documentation repository.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to do the same. We are going to clone our fork by using the HTTPS.
Is that
He,
clone, sorry, is the fork a snapshot of Gitbook docs or or is it synchronized? So if there's changes to the original Gitbook docs, is your fork updated as well?
well, it's a copy at the current moment.
So
You
it's a
have to
snapshot.
be,
So any
yeah,
changes to Gitbook docs, the original Gitbook docs, aren't
are,
necessarily reflected in your fork.
yeah, yeah. The
So,
changes in the original repo are not automatically reflected in your copy. You have
okay,
to,
so how do you update to make sure that
yeah,
your fork is in sync with the original?
yeah, we can check that later.
Mhm.
But right now, let's focus on creating the fork. We're going to clone this by using the HTTPS method, git clone. And as you can see, Gitbook docs is under our profile. So this is like
Mm-hmm.
our copy.
Yeah.
Why do we do this? Because by doing this, we have permissions to actually do changes in this remote repository. So now that we are here, let's follow the instruction. We have created the fork, we have cloned the fork, and now what we can do is add a remote path for the official repo. When we have cloned the repository, by doing git remote -v, yes, I have to go inside this repo, git remote -v, we can see that automatically Git has created this alias, this origin alias. So whenever we use origin, we are actually referring to this URL. So what we're going to do, this origin points to our copy of the documentation repository, and we are going to create another alias for the origin, for the original documentation repository.
Mm-hmm.
So to do that, we can just copy and paste this. Git remote add base this URL. I'm going to use the HTTPS. This. And now if I do git remote -v, we have like our copy of the documentation repository and the base, the original repository, the
Mm-hmm.
Frontity copy and our copy. So we can do changes here, but as you, Michael, as you said, we can use this base to update our copy. We can do, we need to have this reference. So we have two
Mhm.
alias, origin pointing to our remote copy of the docs repository and base pointing to the original site. So let's continue with this. Now we can work in a branch. So branches are like here. This is the latest version of the documentation files. So what we're going to do is we are going to create a branch. So from the latest version, we are going to create a branch, a bifurcation without changes, so we can work without affecting the the current status of all the files.
Mhm.
So update showcases site example. This is the name of the yeah. This is the branches. This is the master branch, but then we are creating this branch here. So then at some point we can merge that into the master. So that's how Git works. You have like the official content of the files, but then you can create branches to work with them. And then when you have finished your work, you merge that branch into the master. So we have created here our own branch that is, we have called it update showcases site example, and we were in master, and now we are in this branch here. So now we can go to our code editor, and we can go to, okay. What's happening is that my copy is not actually the latest version because it's been a while since I haven't updated. So first of all, let's update my local version, git checkout master. I think it's explained here. Yes, here. As we have added the base, this command adds a new remote branch with the name base. If you ever want to pull the recent changes from the official documentation repo to update your local fork, you can use the following command. So that's what we're going to do. Git pull base master. This is going to connect to our base repository that is the Frontity Git book docs, and it's going to update the master branch of our local repository.
But not our fork on GitHub. Because then you need to push from your local to your fork.
So
In order
we
to
are
update
working
it.
locally, but then we can update the remote repository. So if
Yes.
we go to our remote repository right now, so let's check now my local code. As we can see now, everything is under the docs folder. All the content of the documentation files is inside this folder. But in my remote repository, I still have the old version. So to update or to synchronize my local copy with the remote copy, I have to push. So I can do git push origin master. This origin, as we saw before, this origin is actually my Gitbook docs under my profile. So I'm going to push to origin master.
So that's
And
the
as I
only.
said, by using the git push or by using the HTTPS method, every time I try to connect to the remote repository, it will ask me for my credentials. So okay, so I have used my username and my password, and now in my remote, in my fork version of the Gitbook docs, if I update, now I have the latest version with the docs folder and all the content inside this folder.
So that is the only way to synchronize your fork with the original.
Yes, yes.
By cloning it locally and yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to create another, well, I can check branch. I have this. So what I'm going to do is just to simplify, git branch. I'm just going to remove this branch. Now I have no branches, so I'm going to create another branch, but from the current state of the docs. Git checkout -v. This option, what it does is it creates the branch. I'm going to update showcases. It creates the branch and it changes your current branch from master to the one you have created. Okay, so now we have created the branch, but from the latest status of the content. And now we can, because in the previous version, we didn't have the showcases. And now we have the showcases here. So now we have here the showcases page, and we can add any new content we have. So, Reyes, is there any specific content that you want to add as an example here?
Okay, we can share the IGMO web showcase. 1 second, I can share with you the details.
Well, in the meantime, we can, okay, so Reyes has shared with me the details of the site, so I just copied this.
Yeah, we can share a testimonial as well, because there's a topic on the forum, so we can share the testimonials, testimonial too.
Okay, I have copied the image, is here, and now I'm going to move it to the proper place that in our case is inside docs. And specifically, we have a folder for the showcases in the assets, that is this one. So now we have this. I'm going to rename because I'm using this pattern, but anyway, this is something that can be changed anytime. Just to have the same beginning of the files. Okay, so now that we have the file there, we can link to this file in the it's this. And we can see a preview of the I have a plugin here in Visual Code that shows me a preview. So this is the path. This is more or less what we are going to see.
So what you have in VS Code is an extension to show what Markdown
Yes,
will be rendered as.
the good thing about Visual Code is that it has a lot of extensions here.
What extension is that?
I have these are the extensions that I have enabled. I don't know if I look for Markdown. I have a Markdown preview enhanced. Okay. I think this is the one that I'm using. Okay, so I think we are good to go. We have this new text here. We have the link, the source.
Oh, source code. I'm using like the with different format.
source code, source code. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's a link.
Yeah, that's it.
It should be a link. Okay, so I source code. Okay, so we are
Perfect.
happy. We are happy with the changes, and now if we do git status, we will see that we have done some changes from the previous state of the documentation site. We have modified this file, and there is a new file that is not tracked. So how Git works is that we need to add this to the staging area, and we do this by doing git add -a. This will add all of this to the staging area. So we had the files here. When we have done git add -a in uppercase, what we have done is, okay, this is the changes that I actually want to add to the repository. So by doing it that, we put here in the staging area. And from here, we can do the commit. The commit is like, okay, this is like a working area. We can add changes to the staging area, and we can remove changes from the staging area. But once we have all the changes we already want to add to the repository, we can commit these changes. And when we do commit, we don't select the files. We just commit whatever it is in the staging area. So if we do here git status, we can see here that these are the changes to be committed. So if we do git commit -m new showcase, so every commit should have a message. So we are adding a new showcase icmoweb.com. Okay, so now we have the commit done, and there is no pending changes to commit. So what we can do is push these changes to the remote branch here. So to do that, we git push origin example. And as this repository, this remote repository is under our profile, we have permissions to actually do this git push origin. If we go to our remote repository here, we can see how there is a message here showing how we have changes in this remote repository. I mean, we had this local branch, but when we have done this, git push origin update showcases site example, we have created a remote branch. And from here, we have this button where we can actually create a pull request to the base master. So here is where we are actually creating the pull request against our repository, against the official documentation repository. Added a new showcase. And that's all. Once I click this, we can see that in Frontity Gitbook Docs, if we go to pull request, we have already a new pull request with the files that we have added. If we go to files changed, these are the changes that are actually, in fact, we have a new image that is this one, and we have this text. And now the ball is in our court. We have to review, but let's do the whole process. We can we can I'm going to add Michael as a reviewer. Michael, can you have a look at this pull request and accept it so we can do the merge?
Oh,
So this repository, this Gitbook docs, is connected to our docs frontity.org. Every time we update the master branch by accepting changes here. Okay, so we have the approval of Michael, and now we can do the merge. So let's do the merge. I confirm the merge. We can delete the branch, but well, this is something that is our responsibility. And the official doc site is automatically updated with the latest changes of the master branch. So it takes like less than 2 minutes. If we update here at some point very soon, we should see the changes here. Yes, here it is. And here we have the changes with the image and everything in its place. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording.